there are 7 campsites all in a circle. There's a pit toilet, which is really nice. This is a fee area, so you have to pay $5 a night. It's run by the Forest Service and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You can't get a much better deal than that. And one to let you know too, a lot of gravel roads coming in here, and they were well maintained, I have to give them that. But there were trees that had fallen that were laying half in the road, and I was able to get around them. But I'm almost tempted next time to bring my chainsaw the next time I come out here, because if you come on a weekend and there's nobody out here, you're gonna have to cut your way out. So that's something to think about. I didn't think about it till I saw a tree laying half across the road, and I was just barely able to get around. Also have bear-proof trash cans on site. The last bag that I had broke for hauling things on day stuff, so I've got this day pack, and it's incredible. It packs into this small pouch right here, and then it's got a carabiner to clip onto your large pack, so you can clip on the outside. But it's waterproof. This is Sea to Summit brand. Waterproof, very durable, carry quite a bit of weight. It's got some nice haul straps on it too. So looking forward to using this for the first time. Beautiful. The water's really moving. Trying out the new day pack. I've got quite a bit of weight in it. I've got two 2-liter bottles of water in it, a heavy, well actually a medium-sized jacket if I need it, and some spare batteries, flashlight. One thing it's missing, it does need a strap that goes across the breast there, and I'll have to make one that really, because it pulls on you. But I want to say this Southfork Trail is absolutely phenomenal. The trail is in great shape. It's at least 4 feet wide in just about every stretch that I've been on. Some fabulous waterfalls, beautiful creeks like this one right here, and just really, really nice. So bring your water filtration, and you should have no problem having water out here. I'm kind of gun shy because I did the Cohutta Trail last time, and there was a drought and there was no water at all. So I brought water with me, but I could have brought 2 empty bottles in my Sawyer squeeze and been perfectly all right. I love to pay attention to the tracks in the mud. Big track there, just a little smaller than my hand with my fingers spread out. There's a lot of creek crossings here, so be prepared to get your feet wet. Bring some dry socks, maybe a couple pair. come out here when school is in session during the fall months, and if you come during the week, you have the entire national forest almost to yourself on these trails. I've only seen 2 people, and they were the ones cleaning out the trash cans for the Park Service. So that's pretty exclusive. All right, about an hour and a half onto the trail from the campsite, and the trail is starting to narrow to about half the size. Still very well maintained, but narrow all the same. The high is going to get in the 60s today. It's almost 2 o'clock, so we're probably at the high point. But it's really cool. You've got a great tree canopy, and I love hiking in the fall and in the winter. You don't get as dehydrated. You can go on for longer. My muscles seem to hold up more, and I don't consume as much water, not near as much. The low today, I think, is going to be somewhere around low 40s, I believe, Fahrenheit. I think. I'm not sure about that, but I've got a new weather radio. I'm going to try it out today. My other weather radio that was supposed to be waterproof, and the plastic dial fell off, exposing all the electronics. That was not a very good one, so I'm trying another brand. Of course, I'm a cheap person, and I only buy the cheap ones. Had I bought a nice one the first time and spent what I've spent on these past 2, I probably would have been a lot better off. But anyway, those are the brands. This is where the crossings get interesting right here. That's probably 6 inches to a foot, depending on where you're stepping. And you got to get across that to get to the trail. You're going to have some really wet feet. I would suggest bring something you can either put your feet in or bring something you can dry your feet off with. It's just a mud base, but it's fairly deep because all these trees and everything are holding the water back. Okay, got the dehydrated meal that I'm going to start preparing. I brought one of these little easy to carry organic extra virgin olive oils. Get these at Sprouts, probably some other stores as well. I'm putting that in the bottom of the pot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get that all around the bottom. That keeps the sauce from sticking, and it keeps the meat from sticking as well. So I just turn that in the pot. It also helps you clean the pot up afterwards. Okay, Got that. And then one thing I did, and I did a video on this is a hamburger, and I pressed it all into a uniform size, cut them into pieces, and then dehydrated them. So today is going to be the test for the hamburger. And I got a lot of it. It's gonna be a huge meal. I'm gonna break all this up. And then with that, I've got dehydrated mushrooms. I've got all different kinds of mushrooms. They'll all go in there. Separate those. And then I've got brown gravy flakes that I'm going to put on top of there. Just like that. This is dehydrated gravy. I'm just going to put it in there just like that. Always put the gravy and the sauces, things like that, if it's dehydrated, always put those on top, because they will do a massive sticky mess on the bottom, even with the oil in there sometimes. All right, so I've got all that in there, and then I'm going to add my water, and we'll see how it turns out. Add the water. All right, we got it to a boil, and I added some spices, as you can see, and my lens is starting to steam up. And the mushrooms are incredible. I actually like the mushrooms when you bring them back by hydrating them better than just eating the mushrooms straight from the grocery store. Trying out Treehouse. This is fantastic. Listening to the radio. I had a great cup of mocha coffee. I love that. I think it's called Treehouse Blend. I'm going to be buying that, more of that. And it's getting cold, starting to get really nippy, and the fire is just really a great way to repel all that cold. I'll get good and warmed up all the way around, and then once the fire dies down, I'll hit the sack and pull my sleeping bag out. I left my sleeping bag stuffed in the sack, and I did that really because when I'm getting in and out of the Dremor hammock, sometimes the bottom will tip down and whatever I have will spill out. So I left the sleeping bag in a stuff sack, and it's kind of tied up to the inner workings of the hammock. That way it won't spill out. And then I'll unfurl that, and I should be very, very warm from this fire, and we'll take it off. All right, inside the Dremor, calling it a night. I love that little hanging light that I've got up there. It works really well. I can move it anywhere I want to. The nice thing about having a hammock with this line going across here is that I can hang my socks from there, whatever I need. So it works out real well. But anyway, this is it. And I'll get changed, and then time to go to bed. Here, on the underside of the tarp here, I don't know if you can see this or not, but not good. Condensation, I guess. Not good. Time. I slept in this morning about, I don't know, 4:30, 4:45, sometime around there. I started getting water droplets on my face, and the condensation coming off of the tarp was just starting to ping me. And it wasn't a lot, it was just like a slow drip. But the problem was it was hitting me exactly like in the forehead, in the nose, and it just woke me up. So I stayed up and listened to some programs I've saved on my phone till about 7 o'clock. And then I got up, took out a towel, wiped off as much of the condensation on the bottom of the tarp as I could, and I slept from about 7 to 9:30. So I've got a late start this morning, but it'll get a chance for things to air out and dry out just a little bit, and I'll get a good start on my hike. But you can see all the water that built up on the tent, and the condensation is pretty significant on the bottom side. My hammock did slip a little bit too on the left-hand side, sitting in it, and I think it's due to this moss. I think it was just kind of, the moss was loose or something, it gave away. And you can see I was trying to adjust my strap, I got it twisted there. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Luckily I had that towel with me, and I dried off the inside, and it'll completely dry out by this afternoon. And then first thing this morning, a pot of coffee. I got 2 heaping cups of coffee in there, so that'll get me going before I take off. I'm also gonna have Justin's peanut butter and honey for breakfast, and I'm bringing some on the trail to eat later on. You know, they do have nice pit toilets here at Jack's River's field. And the interesting thing about the outhouses and the pit toilets and everything like that, I'm highly allergic to bee stings. As a matter of fact, I have to bring my EpiPen with me wherever I go. And my greatest chance of dying on a camp out is going to the restroom. You'll always find incredible wasp nests and everything else in the eaves of these buildings. But anyway, just so you can see what a pit toilet's like if you've never seen one, that is a pit toilet. There's nothing charming about it, but they've got some mothballs out here to keep the mice out and everything. There's nothing really very charming about it, but it does its function. And that's a lot better than going into the woods and trying to dig a cat hole in very rocky soil. I was over on the Cohutta Trail over at Fort Mountain a week and a half ago, and I had to try 5 times before I could find a place where I could dig a cat hole to relieve myself in. And that ground was so rocky. I bet 3 tent stakes beyond repair, and so you have to watch out for some of those things. All of these camping sites at Jack's River Field and several of the other ones in the National Forest up here are first come, first serve. So, you know, if you're living up in this area, you got a good chance of getting one, and if you don't, you can always go home. On weekdays, really never a problem to find a spot somewhere, but on weekends, you could have your work cut out for you. I would highly suggest, you know, coming in on a Friday afternoon if you can get off work, and come in on a maybe Friday midday and try to find a spot, especially during the summer and the spring, because there's a lot of times you're not going to find a spot. I've been out here up in the Oconee Forest and gotten the last spot sometimes on some campsites around Saturday morning, and but generally I'll come on a Friday and no problem, I'll get whatever I want, and then everybody else has to fight for it. But it also helps you get to choose your site. There are some sites that are really not suitable for certain types of tents, depending on size. They're not level, rocky, where they want you to cast your tent. But this area here, Jack's Field, kudos to this group that takes care of this place. They do a fantastic job. It's an equestrian group, and they're volunteers, and this place is fantastic. I just love this place. This is my first time here, and my first time doing the Southfork section. But I love this place, just gorgeous. And, great job to the volunteers. And if you can, come on a Friday, because otherwise you may get all the way up here and you've got nowhere to stay. If you're going to fold up your jacket and put it in your pack, tuck the arms inside and zip it, and you can get a better fold that way, and you won't have to worry about the arms flailing all over the place in your pack. I always start off a hike with one of these e-gels. This is a Crank Sports, 37 carbs, 230 milligrams of sodium and 85 milligrams of potassium. Very little sugar in these, and which is good. 7 grams of sugar. But this is the brand I prefer, and this berry flavor is not bad. And then I'll usually drink some water either before this or after this. I'll usually finish it down with some water. Started feeling a little twinge in my right ankle, and I've had some problems with my right foot in the past. So when I feel that, I pay serious attention to it. And one thing I start doing is I slow my pace down for a while and then concentrate on my mechanics when I'm walking. Make sure I'm planting my foot properly. I'm rolling off the balls of my feet off the toes. I'm planting that foot so the toes are pointing forward, and kind of lifting up that heel. I can feel the heel lifting, and you know what? The twinge went away. So pay attention when your body's talking to you, because you don't want to get in a situation where you can't get out of it, and then you get trapped. So so make sure you pay attention. Keep your feet dry. If your muscles start hurting, if your feet start aching, that's a good time to take a break. Take your shoes off, maybe take socks off too. Give your feet a rest, check them out, look for blisters, look for signs of redness or wear, and take care of it right away. It'll save you a lot of trouble. All right, fresh prints. These footprints are from this morning. Look at the size of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and a heel. All right. Raccoon tracks, looks like. That's probably a foot high. Of course, I was bragging about the trash compactor bags, and the trash compactor bag is the one that leaked. got a wet shoe and a wet sock. This one's dry with the trash bag on it. Water break time while I'm on the other side. I did find the hole in the bag, damn it, and it was right on the bottom too. So anyway, I tied the knot in it, so hopefully on the way back, if my shoe dries out, I won't have that problem again. I won't be going to Alabama this time around, but the option's always there on the Pinhoti. Takes you down south into Alabama. Worked like a charm. Gorgeous spot to have a cabin up in the mountains. Really pretty. I'm walking some of the dirt roads, and I just walked through Jones Settlement, and I met Mr. Jones. Settlement was started in the 1800s, and he's the last remaining Jones on the site. The settlement's surrounded by the Cohutta Wildlife Management Area, and he gave me some directions home using the roads here. I'm going to do those instead of crossing the creeks. They're both about 4 miles, so either way, I got 4 miles in me, but I'll have dry feet when I get back to camp. I stopped and had a electrolyte package and a peanut butter and honey by Justin's packet. Followed that down with some good water, and I'm ready to go back on the trail. My homemade strap is working fantastic. Keep the bag on me whether I'm bending down, moving left or right in the creek or whatever, and staying right on me. So that's great. This wildlife refuge actually circles the Jones settlement. And then if you go this way, you get on Hemptop Trail 62 and Jack Rivers Trail 13. A lot of trails out here. Great fun. But anyway, that's the way I came from Atlanta, and that's the way to get up to where I'm camping. And I'm going around the big mountainside, and I think I'm going to get an incredible view. Should be able to see that in just a moment. There are some wild turkeys up ahead. They just crossed the road. I'm just thinking as I'm chugging along down this road at my age, and I'm got bad knees, but it's getting better and better. I lost the weight and eat right. That does help. And I think a little smarter when I'm doing these things. But I was thinking about Mr. Jones over at Jones Settlement. He's the last of the Joneses. Settlement started in 18 something. He's 82 years old. He looks fit as a fiddle. And when I ran into him, he was carrying a pickaxe down the road, and he was going to take a stump out with a pickaxe. At 82. Reminds me of my grandfather up in the mountains in Tennessee years gone by. He only weighed about 140 pounds, but he could throw a hay bale about 15 feet like nothing I've ever seen. But living out this way makes you strong. But he eats right, he says he exercises, and he lives a good life. And let's all hope we can, at 82 years old, have the wherewithal to take a stump apart with a pickaxe. Now that's a nice old tree right there. I'm always in awe of those big old ones. Tree's gotta be a couple hundred years old. Woo. Iron Mountain Cemetery, and somebody's looking out for the graves, placing the flowers on them. They've got a little chapel that they've built from raw wood. Those are tree trunks pinned together with a little bit of lumber, and they've got old wooden pews in there, and the roof is bowing in the center. Very cute. Here's George Cantrell. He was born in 1896. Sherman Dyer's over there. And some of these, unfortunately, they're moss-covered graves. You'll never know who's there. There's a stone marking the grave. A lot of times they couldn't afford stones, and they put a rock there. This is Sherman Dyer, and he was born in 1866. And here's a picture of Mr. Dyer in his overalls and jacket, looking very nice. There's Beulah Patterson, born in 1912. Unfortunately, she had a very short life. She died in 1918. It's not uncommon to see a lot of little tables like that after the meal, after the funeral. People would have meals and whatnot. This is the infant Millsaps. Died as an infant. Big old oak tree right next to it. I think what happened was one of those big oak limbs probably fell on the center of that building. But this is just a charming little place. You can see these are old wood posts right here. You got a little lectern up there for the pastor. The family sits up front. They could have their own services in here. Very quaint, very charming. They lost a lot of children, unfortunately. That's the infant Mr. and Miss L.P. Dyer, 1933. And then right next to that is the infant of Mr. and Miss Tom Dyer, born and died in 1930. This is another child, the infant Giddens. And as you can see, they've just put little markers where people are buried. A lot of times there's no headstone. That's pretty much what it looks like out here. Sometimes they'll put a big rock out here, but somebody's come by and put these nice marble markers out here and marked where the actual graves were. Good for them. Some of them actually have a name. Ernest Davenport, born in 1923. But some of them just have a name. George Dyer, no dates. This is the remnant of a headstone. Something was written on it, but who knows what it was. And then you've got Newt D. Dyer. He was born in 1857 and he died in 1938. He saw a lot of change in this world. Then you got a couple of these rocks that are just marking where somebody was buried. Another infant, Jackie Guess, born and died in 1895. There wasn't a lot in the way of medicine back then. I'm sure doctors were few and far between. All right, it's time to play What is Steve Going to Eat This Evening? And I've got dehydrated black-eyed peas, dehydrated chicken, dehydrated mushrooms. They always look terrible, but man, when you hydrate them, they look great. And a rich tomato sauce. I'm gonna put in a little extra virgin olive oil in the bottom of the pot, and I'll shake that all inside the pot to keep it from sticking. And you always put the sauce in last. I'm just gonna put enough water, make it to the top of the food. Just like that. Maybe a little bit more. Those mushrooms right there. All right, and we'll let that sit anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on when I'm ready to eat. This Treehouse Originals Mocha drinking chocolate with organic coffee in it is spectacular. If you like a little chocolate with your coffee, highly recommend it. They also have some other ones that have coconut milk in them and all different kinds of varieties. But this is the one I've had so far. Nutritional information, I don't know if you can even see that. It's 29.4 carbohydrates, 24 grams of that is from sugar. But delicious. You add 6 ounces of hot water or milk and stir passionately. It's made in Portland, Oregon. I love this Nivea cream. It comes in this nice little tin. But it is perfect for rubbing on your sore spots. And what I do is I rub it all over my feet and backside and everything that's going to have some rubbing before we go on the hike. And it really works well, but it keeps the skin soft, keeps it lubricated so something doesn't chafe on the skin. Highly recommend it. And there it is. I got it to a boil after letting it sit for a while. Wonderful tomato sauce, black-eyed peas, mushrooms, diced chicken, and I even had some bacon bits that I threw in there because I forgot that I had them. But a good looking together. This is what I love. Gets nice and dark. You set your fire. You light your headlamp, and make it work. Get ready. The condensation's already building up on my tarp. I'm just praying it's not going to drip on my face again tonight. That was pretty miserable. Waking up at 4 in the morning with water dripping on my face. But you know, we're up in the mountains, and the air's pretty dense up here. It's very wet. But anyway, this fire is just keeping me incredibly warm, and I'm ready for bed when the time comes. I've got that coffee with the I think it was 85% cacao in it. I've got that heated up, and I'm going to have that next to the fire, and then it's ready to go to bed.
It's another chilly morning in paradise. Slept really well. Very low condensation. Had quite a bit of water and whatnot on the tent. Leaves were falling, wind was blowing. You can see there's water on the thing, but no condensation drops, which was great. We had such a heavy fog that night before. I think that's what happened. But I love this hammock. Dremor sleep system. My bug netting just fits right back in that pouch. I've got a storage pouch right here where I keep everything. Got a drink holder, but I keep my glasses there, and another pouch there, and another one here where I put the radio if I want to listen to something while I'm sleeping. I could adjust this in the sitting position if I want to, and enjoy my coffee, but I like to get out, stand up while I have my coffee. But it's been a good trip. 20-degree quilt was plenty on this trip. It's about 40 degrees, I think, somewhere in there probably. So this was plenty, but enjoyed it. Get my coffee going.
Got my coffee pot cooling down. I love this little flashlight. Sometimes I forget I've got it on my around my hat. I put it on there every night before it starts getting dark. Great little flashlight, very portable, can fit in any pocket, and puts out a lot of light. It's got a real dim setting that'll go forever. But anyway, coffee's cooling down. It's been a great camp. I just love this Cohutta Wilderness. Beautiful place. The leaves are starting to turn. Perfect time of the year if you want to make a trip. Fort Mountain would be gorgeous at this time if you go to Fort Mountain State Park. Really nice. I've had the park virtually to myself. I've seen 3 people the entire time. It's been a great experience. I enjoy kind of being out by myself too. Gives you a little bit of time to think about things. I've had a lot of indecision in my life in the last couple of years, and just pondering different things. Miss my kids. They're both up in New York, and they're coming down for the holidays. I think for Thanksgiving we're going to go up and see them for Christmas, so that'll be nice. And they're both graduating this year, and I'm very proud of both of them. They've done a great job, and I wish they had wanted to go camping when they were younger, but outdoorsy stuff was never something they were interested in. Anne Marie does go with me on occasion, which is nice, but still, I feel more relaxed and more in touch with myself after I go on these camping trips. And there's just something about setting it up, breathing this clean air, having those cold nights where you have to snuggle into that down quilt or sleeping bag, and walking, hiking 8-10 miles, and it just wears you out. The food always tastes better on the trail, and it just gives you a new perspective. I come home and I feel like I've been completely distressed every time I get home. All the stress has just been washed out of, and it's been a great time. Only wildlife I saw were 2 wild turkeys. Other than that, not a whole lot. And this is Jack's Rivers. Jack's Rivers Field is the name of it, but run by the Department of Agriculture. Beautiful place, and the Cohutta Wilderness Area is run in conjunction between Georgia and the federal government, and they're just doing a fantastic job. This is one of the best kept sites I have ever seen, and there's an equestrian group, as I said before, that takes care of this. Kudos to you. You do a fabulous job, and it just makes it a joy for people to come out here, enjoy the sound of the babbling brooks and streams, and they circle the entire encampment area. There aren't many flat spots out here, but gorgeous. You ought to come. You'll enjoy it. All right, I've got 960 milliliters of coffee in me, and I'm ready to go. Time to break down camp and get home. Always leave your campsite better than you found it. Pick up the trash, haul it out with you if you can, and don't put the trash down there in the first place. Heading home. Enjoy your week.